Hey folks, Alex Rodriguez here. Welcome to the show. Today we're talking about fire safety. A lot of bad things have happened. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about some tips and tricks to keep your fire system working good so you can avoid a tragedy at your house. Don't go anywhere. Music. Hey folks, Alex with Bay Cities Construction here. Welcome to the Construction Show. This is episode 46 of the Bay Cities Construction Show, where we talk about all things construction, residential construction. We'll talk about kitchen, bathroom remodels, all of those fun topics to educate you, make sure that you're making the right selection. If you haven't done so already, please check out episode 45, where our interior designer, Wendy Hurst, and I talked about bathroom remodels. So you can catch that on the playback. We have that posted on YouTube. So that's episode 45, previous episode. So tonight's episode, we are talking about fire safety. We're going to cover some of the topics that you need to know to keep your family safe, and also some tips to do some maintenance and stuff on your fire detectors. Okay, so that's what we're talking about today because it's important. We've had some pretty bad things happen in the news, and want to make sure you're all squared away. So why is fire safety so important? Well, in Philadelphia, this month, there's three kind of headline stories. In Philadelphia, 12 people dead in a unfortunate Christmas tree fire by a young boy. And it was found that the non-working smoke detectors throughout the building. So that's bad news. Bronx fire, 17 people dead. The auto doors are supposed to close once there's a fire detected. They didn't close, so it's not working right. This fire was caused by a space heater. Unfortunate. And locally here, for those of you that don't know, we're in Torrance, California, so it's a little suburb of Los Angeles, and we had a firefighter killed in this fire up here in Palos Verdes. Cause of the fire still under investigation, but unfortunately, a firefighter lost his life. So let's talk a little bit of data. We got some data. Let's drill down into some data. We got a little bit of data here from the U.S. Fire Administration and FEMA. Let's drill down into this data right here. So 50% of the fires have started by cooking. So either stuff left on, or definitely most of the time, here in California, we have natural gas stoves, so there's an open flame. And then kind of like the next series of causation is heating systems and electrical malfunctions and unintentional carelessness. So let's kind of move through some of this data here. So some of these charts are posted in the FEMA and the U.S. Fire Administration website. So fire deaths are actually in an upward trend, unfortunately. The lowest in the last 10 years has been in 2012 when they dropped down to 2,800 in a year. And it looks like as of 2019, 3,700 people lost their lives in a fire. You would think as technology gets better and improves, that the trend would be in the opposite direction. The problem is that a lot of the fire detection systems are not working right or not working at all. And this is a kind of a scary piece of data that's kind of relevant and important. 60% of the fire incidents where people died, the smoke detectors weren't working. Okay, so what does that say? That says that basically, what does that imply? That implies to me that the fire system needs maintenance, right? That's what I gather from this. So let's talk about some of the things you can do to perform maintenance on your system, and also to make sure that you update your smoke detectors, and it's not really very expensive. So let's talk a little bit about that. So if you don't have a smoke detector in your bedrooms, so just so you know, the current code is you have to have a smoke detector in the bedrooms, and you have to have in California, you have to have a carbon monoxide detector at least in the hallway. So those are two The carbon monoxide smoke detector is a combo unit, so it'll go off if it detects carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide, unlike smoke, is there's no odor to it, so it's normally a combustion gas from a furnace. Normally, that's some type of combustion, either from a furnace, an oven, a pilot of a old school water heater, those types of things. If they're not vented correctly, you'll have carbon monoxide coming into the building. So installing smoke detectors, if you don't have it, difficulty level is very low. If it's just a battery operated one, $25. That's pretty much it. I mean, you could probably get a fancy schmancy one for maybe $35. The combo units, this is kind of one of the newer ones that you don't have to replace the batteries for 10 years. And this is a battery only operated one. So that's definitely an option. Those also come in a combo unit, whether it's just battery operated. So let me kind of run you through this a little bit so you understand your options. In this slide here, we've got one that's hardwired. And the hardwired ones, especially if you're doing a major remodel, the hardwired ones have to be wired to each other so that if the smoke detector in one bedroom goes off, the ones in all the bedrooms in the hallway will go off, or vice versa. And that's basically controlled by that little red wire there. So you've got your power wires and you've got the interconnectivity. That's super important. If you don't have a system like that, and you don't have one, you should at least install a battery operated one and make sure that the battery's replaced every 6 months. So those are that's kind of like the bare minimum. You know, you've got some level of protection. And we don't want to go off the rails here and, you know, talk about like a hysteria, but your minimal, you should have at least a smoke detector. And if you have gas heating in your house or you're a 2-story building, you should definitely have a carbon monoxide. So this is some of the pictures I took of my smoke detectors before I replaced them, and I kind of want to walk you through this. I think that most of the detectors that are missing or inoperable are because of that stupid chirp, the chirp that drives you crazy. So that chirp will occur for a couple different reasons. Basically, when it's chirping, there's definitely something wrong with the detector. Okay, so what happens is people will go and replace the battery, and sometimes it keeps chirping. And then it drives you crazy because it chirps once every minute, right? That definitely is like super annoying. And it's made like that for a reason. It's made like that so you actually pay attention to do something. So I'm going to give you, these are a couple tips and tricks to get your fire detector working right, all right? So here, this is the little battery port. You see the battery here? Well, this is the close-up of the battery port where it sits in. And these are the terminals. From jamming the batteries in there, if this is an older unit that you've replaced several batteries on, many times the battery pushes this little terminal in and it has a bad connection. That'll cause a chirp, even though you have a fresh battery. So what you do is you take the unit off the ceiling and you use a flathead screwdriver and you just bend that little terminal back in so it has pressure and it makes good contact with the battery. Okay, so that's your first tip. Your second tip is to clean the sensor units and clean the inside. Just remove any debris. Sometimes you have little cobwebs in there, little insects and stuff get in there. It's a little nasty. Just get a used little paintbrush and just gently wish around that. If you had a air can, you can just blow that with a little air can that you would use in electronics. That's a good way to get the dust and stuff out of there. Now, most people don't know this, and I didn't know this either. Most smoke detectors have a lifespan of 7 years, 10 years max. And on the back of the smoke detector, it'll be printed the year of manufacturing. As you can see, the stickers on here are completely gone on this detector. So I know for a fact I remodeled this house almost 12 years ago. So they're definitely past the lifespan. So I'm replacing them all. I replaced 3 yesterday, and I'm going to do another 2 when I'm done. And I added one in the garage. I didn't have one. So mine are hardwired with the battery backup. And in the garage, I don't have a hardwire set up there. So I'm just going to install it with the battery in a place that I can get to and change out the battery accordingly. So this is pretty easy stuff. Not level of difficulty is not very high. You need a flathead screwdriver, a little bit of time. All right, so let's talk about carbon monoxide alarms and why that's important. Carbon monoxide is a odorless gas that is toxic, and it'll kill you. And again, it comes from combustion. So if you were in an area that you wanted to, let's say you have the smoke detectors in there now, and you just want to add a little bit more protection, so you would add these carbon monoxide alarms in the rooms that you feel are important. Now, I don't know, it really depends on kind of your house setup, but like if you have a furnace on the first floor, the carbon monoxide will move around and it'll go up, especially if the venting's broken. So it's really important to have it on the second floor and in the area around the existing heater. So super easy. So this one is basically a battery operated one, and this one here plugs in. It's kind of cool. You see these commonly in motorhomes because sometimes the carbon monoxide will sneak in from the combustion of the generators or the propane heaters that are in there. Now, the second part of this for your safety to have, so your second component to fire safety is to have good fire extinguishers. If you've got one of those little one-shot tube things, I would say this is barely sufficient. You should have something that's a lot bigger, and you should put it in a place that is easily accessible. Now, I know, these are not like the nicest looking things, but I've recommended often that people put them in their laundry. You should definitely have a kind of a handy one in the kitchen. Remember, 50% of the fires occur during cooking, okay? Like a grease fire. So you should have something smaller, really handy where you can get it near the kitchen, and maybe another one here. I have two larger ones, ABCs. So that's for kind of all of the spectrum of fire causes. Look, I'm not a firefighter, but for safety purposes, I have two large fire extinguishers, one in the rear of the house outside and one at the front of the house outside. And the thinking is that if one of my neighbors, and I get along pretty well with my neighbors, if one of my neighbors sees a fire or something like that occurring in front of my house, the extinguisher's right there. I mean, it would be awesome. The other thing too is you never get to pick where the fire starts. So if you have it in the house and it's buried, you may not be able to get to it. So depending on where you are, where the fire is, and where the extinguisher is. So I have two large ones outside, and I have a smaller one in the kitchen that is easily accessible. Now remember, don't put your fire extinguisher in a place that if you have a fire in the stove that you can't get to it. So you should be close enough, but not at the source of the fire. So that's kind of jumped the gun a little bit, but this is another picture of a larger fire extinguisher by the door, by an exit door, which is, I think, where they should be. So if you have a 2-story house, remember, it's probably a good idea to have a little escape ladder up there, especially if you have smaller children. And it's a good idea for you guys to play with this stuff. Use it. Don't just buy it and leave it in the box. Take it out of the box and figure out how you would hook it up to the window. I'm not saying you should jump out the window, but you should at least extend it and make yourself familiar for how to deploy the ladder. Fire blanket, it's kind of a cool thing. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's basically like a little fire shield in the event you have to, run through an open flame, an area where there's an active fire. So I think this is a big part of preparation. So this is the third part, right? So first part is make sure you got good smoke detectors. Second part, make sure you got fire extinguishers. And the third part, especially if you have small children, is to come up with a game plan where you're going to meet, what to expect. Maybe you have a neighbor that you get along with well, and the game plan is that you run out of the house and go meet at the neighbor's house. And you should do a little practice drills, especially if you have younger kids, so that they get used to it. Some kids, they get scared and they'll go under the bed or they'll hide in the closet, and then you can have a tragedy, right? So if you have a drill, you got a game plan, you got fire extinguishers, you got working smoke detectors, you're going to be in better shape. And then I think the fourth part is, what can you do to prevent the fire from happening in the first place? And here is a good example of an electrical outlet that's overloaded. If you see electrical outlets that have a burn mark on them, or some of them are even melted, or the cable's the same thing, you know that there's too much load, or that a particular fixture has been damaged. So make sure you call a licensed electrician and have them come out and replace anything that looks questionable. Space heaters, that's a kind of another causation for fires. Make sure you have one that's stable, and consider how you would deploy it. I know my daughter likes a small space heater. Even though we have central heat, she likes it like really toasty in her room. So we have hardwood floors, which is good. But another option would be, if you had carpet, would be to put the space heater on a small table that's not flammable. It doesn't have a bunch of flammable items on it. So if you have like a stone top little side table and you want to put your space heater there, that would be good too. So consider that where you leave the space heater. Make sure the space heater is not left unattended, and maybe even put a timer on, one of those plug-in timers to the space heater, so that no matter what, you can't leave the heater on when you're not there. So right now we're going to go over to questions. Hopefully you guys have been watching and been punching in some questions with Brian. Question time. We love question times. Questions are a good opportunity for us to interact. It makes the show a lot more fun, and it also gives you an opportunity to participate in the show. So Brian, my friend, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do. We got some questions here.
Right on. Let's go. Let's do the question thing.
All right. Looks like one of our viewers would like to know, hey, do I need a professional electrician to get smoke detectors in my place?
If you want the wired smoke detectors, let me bring down the music a little. If you want wired smoke detectors, you should have them installed by an electrician, because you're going to want a dedicated line, a dedicated circuit, and you're going to want those bad boys working on a nice, clean, new, fresh wire. If, in the meantime, if you don't have smoke detectors, I would run down to the hardware store, get a $25 battery-operated one, so at least you're covered in the meantime. That's what I would do.
Cool. Another viewer wants to know, I guess they have like a 2-story house or something, but they want to know, should I install fire sprinklers at my place?
Fire sprinklers. Well, that's not an easy project. In fact, if you're doing a new construction or an addition over a certain size, you actually have to install fire sprinkler systems now. But most existing houses, that is a very expensive endeavor. I suppose you could, if you're going to do a major remodel, you could install a new system, because you need to rip out the ceilings to be able to put in all the piping and all the gear that you need. So I don't know how feasible it is, but if you're doing a major home remodel, and what I mean by that, if you're spending $300,000 on a kind of a gut remodel, maybe you should consider doing that.
Another viewer wants to know, what are my options if I have an older home?
Well, I think that the low-hanging fruit, obviously, is to make sure that your detectors are working good. Replace any detectors that aren't working good, and maybe consider upgrading to a wired system with the battery backup. That's kind of like the first step, and then the next phase would be to make sure you have good fire extinguishers ready to roll of an adequate size. Remember, those little small extinguishers, you press the button and the extinguisher is empty. So if there's anything that's a significant fire, you're not going to be able to deal with it with those small detectors. So I would start on those things, and then if you have if over time you've had your outlets, your breakers trip all the time, or if you haven't upgraded your panel to a grounded current, maybe 200 amp box, I would definitely do that. These are all preventive measures. Also, if you haven't installed an earthquake shutoff valve, the number one cause of fires after an earthquake the number one cause of house damage after an earthquake is a fire. So install those little gas shutoff valves at the meter to prevent a fire. These are all little solutions that are, they're under, in most cases, it's under $200. and depending on how many of these you do at the time, but definitely for $500 you can protect your family pretty good.
Another viewer wants to know, what should I do if I suspect my water heater is leaking gas?
I would call a licensed plumber ASAP over there and have them take a look at it. Do not call necessarily the gas company. Call a licensed plumber first. The gas company will just come off and will come over and shut the gas off and not let you turn it on. So if you have a gas leak, go to the meter, turn the gas off, call a licensed plumber, and have them handle it and see. There's a little device. It's called the sniffer. They'll come in there and sniff out your place and find the leak. That's a good question, though. Definitely.
Somebody else wants to know, are smoke alarms or detectors required in ADUs?
Smoke detectors with carbon monoxide components are required on all ADUs. They have to be hardwired, too, with a battery backup. Good question.
Interestingly enough, somebody else asked, is it expensive to install hardwired smoke alarms in an older home?
Well, I think you're probably going to spend somewhere between $200 and $300 per unit. So, maybe $1,000 to get them installed, because you're going to have a dedicated line, maybe $1,200 or something like that. So, I think it's your definition of expensive. Again, if you don't have $1,000, go out and get $25 battery-powered smoke detectors, and at least you have something. What else? Do we have any other questions? Cool. Well, let's cut the show. Let's cut to the next section here. So if you want to learn more about home remodeling, please visit baycitiesconstruction.com. We have hundreds of blog articles about different home improvements topics on there. And if you haven't done so already, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our show so you get our notifications every week of a new show. We have some pretty exciting topics coming up. We're going to be doing posting a show on the kitchen and bathroom remodeling trends 2022. We're also going to be reviewing some new plumbing fixtures coming up from Kohler and Moen in the next few weeks. So we'll be posting that. And we have a special guest from Simpson Strong Tie is going to be coming in the next couple weeks. So we'll be making some more of those announcements as we get closer to it. Anyway, if you haven't done so already, please go to baycitiesconstruction.com. We have been doing this for a long time, for about 16 years. We'd love to help you with your project if you're considering doing a major home remodel. We can help you with your design, your architectural engineering services. We can represent you with the city, and we can manage your project. So we also have some shows coming up with Casey, our project manager, and Wendy, our interior designer, so that you guys can get to know them and feel confident in our team. Get to know our team before you hire us to do your job. And remember, our service area has been expanded into the Orange County. So we're in Manhattan Beach. We're working all the way in Dana Point and Newport Beach and all of Orange County down there. So if you haven't done so already, check out some of the areas that we serve on our Bay Cities Construction Orange County service page. This is how you get a hold of us. This is our 1-800 number. If you want to check out what people are saying about us, you can go to Yelp and Houzz and Google and all that good stuff. So thank you for watching. Thank you for coming in to this episode. My name is Alex with Bay Cities Construction, reminding you, you don't need a contractor. You need a team of pros.
Over the years, I've built and remodeled lots of homes, so I know the value of working with experts, like the product experts at Ferguson. When you're ready to make your dreams a reality, find inspiration with bath and kitchen pictures you love. Choose the right contractor or designer for your project, and then schedule some time to meet with a Ferguson product expert. They'll help you find the perfect products from top brands. So schedule a consultation and visit a Ferguson near you.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the show. Please make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. My name is Alex of Bay Cities Construction, reminding you, you don't need a contractor. You need a team of pros. Bay Cities Construction. My name's Alex Rodriguez reminding you, you don't need a contract. You need a team of pros.